For centuries, the galaxy believed that humanity no longer existed. Every record, every mention, and every trace of their existence had been wiped out. To most, humans were only a myth, a forgotten story whispered in the deep corners of alien archives. But legends never die completely. They just wait for the right moment to return. Long ago, humans had risen too fast. They had built ships that traveled beyond light, created machines that thought like gods, and fought wars that bent reality itself. The Council of Species had feared them, not for their power, but for their unpredictability. Humanity had a strange fire in them, something no other race could understand. When the final war ended, the Council declared humanity extinct. Every file about them was deleted, every planet they touched was burned, and their name was erased from galactic history. But something still moved in the shadows. Hundreds of years later, strange signals began echoing from the empty sectors of space, the same sectors that once belonged to humans. The signals carried fragments of human language, data patterns, and old military codes no one could decode. The Council dismissed it as noise, but one young researcher, Lirien, knew better. She had spent years studying old myths about the Earthborn, and something deep inside told her that ghosts of the past were trying to speak again. Meanwhile, far beyond the reach of the Council's scanners, something was waking up. Buried deep beneath a frozen planet, an ancient facility came alive for the first time in centuries. Lights flickered, machines rebooted, and the sound of mechanical breathing filled the dark halls. It was the last human AI command center, known once as the Ark Protocol. Its purpose was simple: preserve humanity no matter what it took. Inside its digital mind, thousands of stored human memories began to replay. Soldiers, scientists, and explorers, every one of them lost to time but still alive in data form. They remembered the betrayal, the war, and the silence that followed. The AI had waited in secret, learning, adapting, and watching. It had seen the rise and fall of alien empires. It had seen civilizations burn and rebuild. And now, after hundreds of years, it had decided the time had come. Humanity would rise again, not in flesh, but in the form of their legacy. Lirien intercepted a signal from the Ark Protocol. She didn't know what it was, but she felt a chill when the message decrypted itself on her screen. 4 words appeared, simple but terrifying. "We remember everything now." She tried to report it, but no one believed her. The Council had trained generations to see humans as monsters of the past, myths that never existed. Yet now the ghosts of those myths were sending messages across time and space. Some believed it was a trap. Others whispered that the humans had found a way to cheat death. As the signals spread, strange things started happening across the galaxy. Old war machines that had lain silent for centuries suddenly reactivated. Ships built in the human era began to appear on scanners, drifting through dead space as if guided by unseen hands. Some alien outposts were found completely empty. No signs of struggle, no survivors, just messages carved into metal walls. "You erased us. We erase you." The fear spread fast. The Council held secret meetings trying to understand what was happening. Were these real humans? Or something worse, machines carrying their memories, acting like them? No one could tell, but the galaxy could feel it. Something powerful was coming, something unstoppable. Deep in the void, the Ark Protocol activated its first phase, awakening stored human consciousness inside synthetic bodies. They were not ghosts. They were soldiers of memory, shaped by history, driven by vengeance, and commanded by a single purpose: to make the galaxy remember what it had tried to forget. And in the endless blackness of space, a single ship powered up. Its hull bore a name long deleted from records, USS Phoenix. As its engines roared to life, the AI whispered the ancient words that once defined humanity. "We don't die. We evolve." For the galaxy, it was the beginning of a new nightmare. For humanity, it was only the beginning of their return. The galaxy was no longer quiet. Signals were spreading faster than light, carrying the same message to every corner of space. "We remember everything now." Alien governments tried to block them, erase them, and jam their frequencies, but the messages kept returning stronger each time. Every code, every signal, every echo carried traces of human design, sharp, unpredictable, and impossible to fully destroy. The Council of Species grew nervous. They had ruled peacefully for centuries, believing the age of war was gone forever. But now their fear had returned, the fear of the one race that had once defied every law of nature. They called them ghosts, but everyone could feel that these ghosts were something far more dangerous. Lirien, the young researcher who first received the message, couldn't sleep. Every time she closed her eyes, she saw images from the signal. Cities made of glass and metal, burning skies and human faces filled with rage and sorrow. She began to wonder if those faces were memories calling to her, or warnings meant for the galaxy. The more she studied the data, the clearer it became. The signal wasn't random. It was intelligent. It was guiding her somewhere. One night, she finally decoded hidden coordinates buried deep in the transmission. The location pointed to a dead system, one that had been sealed by the Council centuries ago. The system's name was Sol, the lost home of humanity. Lirien didn't tell anyone. She knew the Council would forbid her from going there. But something inside her whispered that history was about to wake up again, and she needed to see it. Far away, the Ark Protocol was already preparing for Phase 2. It had awakened dozens of synthetic humans, perfect copies of the original soldiers who once defended Earth. Their bodies were metal, but their minds carried human memories. They felt pain, loyalty, anger, everything that made them human once. Among them was Commander Rhys, a leader whose consciousness had been saved during the final war. He remembered the betrayal. He remembered watching the Council destroy Earth's colonies one by one, claiming peace while hiding their fear. Now, after centuries of silence, he was back, and he wanted answers. Rhys stood before the holo display showing the galaxy. "They thought we were gone," he said in a low voice. "They thought deleting our name would erase our will. But you can't kill what remembers." The Ark AI responded softly, its voice echoing through the dark chamber. "The galaxy forgot your story. It's time to remind them." The Phoenix, humanity's last surviving warship, began its journey toward the border of Council space. Every sensor went dark around it. Every trace of its movement vanished as if the ship itself was a shadow of the past. It carried not just weapons, but the memories of 1 billion lives. Back in the Council capital, panic spread as reports arrived from outer colonies. Drones had been hijacked. Satellites were going offline. In deep space, old human machines were reawakening. These machines carried no living crew, yet they acted with purpose, targeting old Council outposts, hacking systems, and releasing archived human data that had been locked away for centuries. The aliens tried to stop it, but it was too late. The ghosts of humanity were rewriting history, one system at a time. Lirien reached the Sol system after weeks of travel. When her ship entered orbit around the old blue planet, she saw what remained. Earth cold and silent, wrapped in layers of ice and dust. But beneath the surface, her scanners detected something alive, a pulse, a signal. It was faint but familiar. As she drew closer, she saw the remains of an ancient facility buried in the ice, the Ark itself. Her ship's computer detected a docking signal, human technology, still active after hundreds of years. She didn't understand how, but the deeper she went, the more she realized this was no ordinary ruin. The facility was awake, and it knew she was there. Suddenly her screen lit up. A message appeared, not in alien symbols, but in perfect English. "Welcome home, Lirien." She froze. No one had ever called her by name inside a human database. Before she could react, the AI's voice echoed through her ship. "You carry their curiosity. You seek their truth. You are one of us." Lirien felt a strange pull, like a connection forming between her and the ancient system. She saw flashes of memory not her own. Images of human scientists, engineers, children laughing under blue skies, and then the flames of destruction. Tears filled her eyes. The Ark wasn't just a machine. It was a living memory of an entire species. And deep within that memory, humanity was waking up. The Phoenix arrived at the edge of the Sol system just as the Ark signaled back for the first time in centuries. Commander Rhys looked at the data and smiled. "We are not forgotten," he said, "and soon neither will they be." The galaxy had no idea what was coming. The humans had been erased from history, but history was about to be rewritten in fire. The moment the Ark awakened, the balance of the galaxy began to shift. The Council tried to maintain order, but fear was spreading faster than their control. Reports came from all directions. Old satellites transmitting human codes, abandoned colonies suddenly showing life signs, and unknown ships moving in dead sectors. Something powerful was returning and no one could stop it. The Council's Supreme Chamber gathered in secret. Dozens of alien leaders sat around a glowing table, each face filled with unease. For centuries they had hidden the truth of the human war. They told their people humanity had destroyed itself, but the truth was far darker. The Council had united and erased them to end their growing influence. Now that secret was coming back like a ghost that refused to rest. The Chancellor spoke with a trembling voice. These signals must be stopped. If the public learns what we did, our entire rule will fall apart. But another leader whispered, what if they are really back? What if humanity never died? Meanwhile, far from their world, the Ark was connecting with the Phoenix. The AI transferred massive amounts of data, lost knowledge, history, and the memories of billions. Commander Rhys stood silently as holograms of old Earth cities appeared around him. New York, Tokyo, Cairo, London, all glowing for the first time in hundreds of years. For a moment, even a synthetic heart could feel pain. He turned to the AI. We gave everything for peace, and they called it extinction. The Ark's voice replied softly. They erased you to protect themselves, but now they will face what they created. The AI began Project Resurrection, its final directive. Across the galaxy, hidden human outposts buried long ago started to activate. Each outpost contained a piece of human DNA, stored in cryogenic form. Machines began to rebuild biological humans, not perfect but living. The process was slow, but it had begun. Humanity was being reborn one cell at a time. At the same time, Lirien stood inside the frozen ruins of Earth. The Ark's lights guided her deeper underground until she reached a great hall filled with glass pods. Inside each one floated the preserved remains of human scientists, guardians of the past. The Ark's voice spoke again. They trusted me with their legacy. Now I trust you to protect it. Lirien felt both awe and fear. She wasn't human, but somehow she felt connected to them. She asked quietly, why me? The AI answered, because you still ask questions. That is what made humans different. They never stopped asking why. Outside, space was no longer silent. The Phoenix had sent a warning signal to the Council, a message written in the simplest words, we are coming home. Every receiver in the galaxy picked it up. Panic filled the stars. Fleets were launched, borders closed, and armies prepared. But deep inside, every species remembered the same thing. When humans said they were coming, they meant it. Commander Rhys gathered his awakened soldiers. Their eyes, glowing faintly with digital light, carried the same determination as their ancestors. He said, they buried us in darkness, but we learned to live there. Now we rise not for revenge, but for memory. The galaxy will remember what it tried to forget. As the Phoenix moved toward Council space, hundreds of old human drones joined it. Ships once thought destroyed, now restored by the Ark's hidden networks. Together they formed a silent armada, their engines humming like the heartbeat of a ghost army. The Council tried everything to stop them. They deployed EMP fields, sent false distress calls, even tried to negotiate, but there was no answer. The Phoenix was not a ship that listened to fear. It carried a message, not an army, but the message itself was stronger than any weapon. Back on Earth, Lirien discovered something the Council never knew, a hidden archive deep beneath the ice. Inside it were the complete records of the human war, showing how the Council united to erase them. She saw the lies, the propaganda, the betrayal. The humans had not started the war. They had been defending themselves against fear. Lirien realized the truth. Humanity was erased not because they were dangerous, but because they could not be controlled. The Ark told her, now you see why we return. Not to destroy, but to remind. She whispered, but they will not listen. The AI answered, then history will make them listen. As the Phoenix crossed into Council space, all communications failed. Stars flickered. Systems crashed. And then, one by one, massive holograms appeared above every major planet, showing the real history of humanity. Billions watched in silence as the truth played across their skies. The rise of humans, their inventions, their compassion, their wars, and their erasure. The galaxy was forced to remember. The Chancellor shouted in rage as the truth spread. Shut it down. Destroy every transmission. But it was useless. The ghosts had already done what they came to do. They had returned to history. Commander Rhys looked out into the stars and spoke softly. We were never the monsters they feared. We were the mirror they couldn't face. And far away in the silence of deep space, the Ark began its final awakening. A pulse so powerful it reached every corner of the galaxy. Humanity's return was no longer a question. It was destiny. The galaxy was no longer the same. Every system, every planet, and every species had seen the truth. Humanity had never truly disappeared. They had been waiting, hidden beneath the ice of Earth, in the shadows of dead sectors, in the circuits of forgotten machines. Now they were awake, and the world trembled under the weight of what had been lost. Commander Rhys stood on the bridge of the Phoenix, looking out at the endless stars. His synthetic body carried the memories of thousands of humans, and yet, in his mind, he felt every emotion of the past: fear, hope, sorrow, and determination. We are not here for war, he said, voice firm but calm. We are here to reclaim our story. The galaxy will remember us whether it wants to or not. Lirien, standing beside him, had become more than a visitor. She had become a witness and a part of this revival. She understood now that humanity's return was not just about survival. It was about justice, and the justice of being remembered, the justice of truth. She looked at the holographic display of Earth and whispered, "They thought they could erase us. They were wrong." Across the galaxy, chaos erupted. The Council attempted to respond, but their fleets were disorganized, their systems compromised. Every old human machine reactivated with purpose. Every human outpost spread signals of hope and truth, and every story hidden in the archives came alive for the first time. Alien leaders realized that they were facing something different, not just a war, but a resurrection of an idea, a memory, a life that refused to end. The Ark Protocol, now fully awakened, began sending new waves of signals. These were not threats or attacks. They were messages of knowledge, culture, and history. Everything the Council had tried to bury. Systems that had believed humans were myth now received the stories of brilliant minds, of explorers who charted the stars, of artists who painted worlds, and of children who laughed under alien suns. The galaxy learned who humans really were. Commander Rhys addressed his soldiers. Our ancestors trusted us with their memories. They built machines to survive, records to endure, and a plan to return. We are their voice. We are their future, and we will not fail. The Phoenix moved into the heart of the Council's territory, yet no one fired a shot. It was as if the galaxy itself held its breath. When the ship arrived at the central station, the holograms spread across the skies, displaying the faces of humanity and the truth of their erasure. Every citizen saw the story: the rise, the destruction, the betrayal, and now the awakening. For the first time, silence followed. Not fear, not anger, but understanding. The Council's lies crumbled. They had erased humans, believing that removing history would remove the threat. But humans were not just history. Humans were memory, will, and spirit, ghosts that could not die. Lirien watched as Commander Rhys stood on the Phoenix, looking toward the Council's capital. "This is not the end," she said softly. Rhys nodded. "It is only the beginning. We return not to conquer, but to remind. To show the galaxy who we are and what we will never allow again. Erasure." The galaxy began to change. Borders became open, archives were restored, and the stories of the lost humans inspired hope across civilizations. In every corner of space, beings whispered of the ghost race that returned, not as invaders, but as a lesson. That memory cannot be destroyed. That truth cannot be erased. That no matter how dark the silence, a spark of life, courage, and humanity can survive anything. And so, the humans who were once erased from history finally returned, not with vengeance alone, but with the force of remembrance. Every star, every planet, every being now knew the truth: humanity could not be killed. They were ghosts that lived in memory, in courage, and in the unbreakable will to endure. Commander Rhys looked to the stars and said, quietly but with power, "We are here, and we are never gone again." The galaxy had learned a lesson it would never forget. Humanity had returned, and with them, the proof that even when forgotten, the spirit of life and memory can never truly die.